Okay, everybody, so completely original idea, totally not overdone. But this is going to be my personal zombie map ranking, and this specific tier list is every single game from World at War up until Black Ops 4. So it's including Exo Zombies, it's including World War II, Infinite Warfare, it's including all the survival maps, and it's breaking down everything that can be broken down. So it's gonna, for example, it shows instead of just the torture path as a whole, it shows the three different chapters. It shows the survival maps right here, and I'm gonna be ranking these based off my own personal preference, and this is coming from the perspective of somebody who likes doing Easter eggs, loves the storyline, and I've played my fair share of every single one of these maps. I've played every single one. I've played at least an hour and a half of all of these. And I think I yeah, yeah, I have. Okay, so we're gonna hop into it. Starting with Nocturne Toten, I remember everybody talking about this from back in 2007, 2008. No, it was 2008, yeah. I remember people talking about how there was a secret mode after the campaign in World at War. I was actually in, I want to say 5th or 4th grade at the time, and I remember everybody was talking about it. This was the conversations at lunch, seeing how people comparing all of their highest rounds, how far they made it, getting the ray gun, how to get the ray gun every time. It was a crazy time. But when it comes to actual gameplay, it's very bare bones. There's two, three doors. There's a couple wall buys. There's weapons. So I'm gonna say average, just because of the fact that it's the first ever map. There's bound to be improvement, and if it's already an average map, and this is the first ever one, then that's saying something. Verrucht introduced Perca-Cola, then introduced Power, and it split up players. There were two different spawns. You and your friends would be separated. Um, I don't know if this map had an Easter egg song. I'm pretty sure Noct did too, but I'm not too sure. So I'm gonna say average two, but I like it a little bit more than Nocturne Toten. World at Wars of Rook in particular was very difficult because of their super spinners. Shino Numa is still one of the most iconic maps to this day for the high round community because of how easy high rounds are. There's 24 zombies around, meaning one Wonder Waff shot will be able to end an entire round. It introduced wonder weapons, it introduced randomized perks. This is really where the storyline started to take off. We had our playable characters, we had Peter McCain, we had radios, we had a lot. And I think that this map is. And wait, isn't. Yes, this is the first map that was specifically made for zombies. Nocturne Toten and Varrock were places from the multiplayer slash campaign that were taken and kind of stripped down for zombies. This was the first original zombies map, if I'm not mistaken. I've had my fair share of fun with this. I remember playing with a couple of friends after school every day. We would what we would do is we would camp in. I forget exactly what branch of the map it was. I think it's the doctor's quarters. We would all hold down that area. Like everybody would have the PPSH. One person would have a Wonder Waff. Somebody may or may not have a ray gun. We'd have that electric trap going constantly until we got overrun. And I think this is a good map. I think that this Shino Numa I feel like is a good map. And I there's not much more to say about it because again, all the World at War maps are going to be bare bones. Doris, definitely top of good. Mm, I wouldn't say great. I wouldn't say great because I don't feel like Doris holds up nearly as well as it used to, especially in today's standards. But I feel like it's top of good, at least right now. This is the best World at War map. It introduced a Pack-a-Punch. It introduced the fly trap Easter egg. It introduced a lot, and a lot of maps still have that Therese formula that um, it had like the central point, the branching out. Jerice was a fun map, and even if you still hop on to this day, you would still have a lot of fun with Jerice. Keynote Toten, I think, is very overrated. Some people put Kino top or great, maybe even top of good, but I think that it's just um I think I'd put Kino just under Jerice. Personally, that's my personal preference. I enjoy Jerice a little bit more than Kino Toten because it feels like Kino didn't introduce as many things. I feel like Kino Toten is kind of like a reskin of Jerice, if that makes sense. It still had the Pack-a-Punch, it still had characters, it still had teleporters, and Kino Toten was actually supposed to be a DLC 4 for World at War, but kind of got ported over to BO1 because it was too close to Modern Warfare 2's release, which is why I feel like it feels so similar to Jerice, because it was supposed to be right after it. But I do personally prefer Jerice overall compared to Kino, and that is, yeah, so that's that. 5. 5 is a tricky map. I haven't played much of 5 recently, not in a couple of years, but when I did, I didn't really enjoy it due to the fact that I was bad at the game, and it was hard. It's a hard map, so I guess you could just say I'm mad because bad, but I'm gonna put 5 top of average. I'm gonna put it top of average because I guess you could just say mad because bad, but Ascension is a great map. It still holds up to this day, especially with the BO3 remaster. It is phenomenal. It is a beautiful map. It starts out in black and white. I don't think any other map has ever done that since. Wait, that's not true because Attack of the Radioactive thing. But this is one of the only maps that did it. It was really fun. You could blow up the rocket or not. It's up to you. It gives uh, player freedom to do whatever you want to do. It introduced main Easter egg quests. This one was just a. It's the first ever one, so it's definitely not the best Easter egg quest. So actually, I think Ascension's gonna go top of good. Yeah, that seems fair to me. Call of the Dead is probably my favorite Black Ops 1 map. My biggest complaint is that it's just so bland, it's just white and gray. But besides that, it is a great map. It has two unique wonder weapons. I'm not saying that they're the best weapon. I'm not saying they're the best wonder weapons, but I'm saying that they are very unique. One of them is an explosive sniper rifle called the Scavenger, and then there's the VR-11, which turns nearby enemies into humans, kind of working as a um, a a moving monkey bomb. The zombies would go after that human instead of you for a limited time. Shangri-La is also a great map. I personally prefer Call of the Dead over it, but it is a beautiful map. It's the main Easter egg quest was, I feel, better than these two, or better than the previous two, but I feel like this is definitely the best looking map. Um, it it's phenomenal. It introduced, believe it or not, this map introduced female zombies. We before that we've never had any female zombies. They've all been male. So it also introduced the napalm zombies and the shriekers. It's a pretty good map. It still holds up to this day. I still have my fair share of fun with it. And yeah, Moon might be. Hmm. I'm gonna put Moon right here. If we're just talking about the ending to the Easter egg, then it's phenomenal. This is a phenomenal ending to a game's DLC cycle. You blow up the Earth, it perfectly sets up the event for the next game, and nobody saw it coming. This was a phenomenal ending, but overall, I feel like Moon is an just kind of a just above average map. Most of the sound of the map is completely muffled because of it being in space, which makes sense. I love the Area 51 content, and I wish more maps did something like that. Um, the Wonder Weapon was really fun and satisfying to use, the wave slash zap guns. Um, I don't like all the RNG that you have to do with the Easter egg, but that's kind of a consistent pattern with these older maps, and even some of the newer ones. Next, we're going to Transit. Transit, let's face it, everybody has better memories of it now, but when they actually decide to play it, if they're playing seriously, you're not going to really enjoy it. I'm going to say Transit is our first meh map. The Wonder Weapon sucks because it breaks, but if it didn't break, it would be good because it is infinite damage. But you would have to choose if you wanted the Wonder Weapon or the Turbine, which powers half of the map. Without the Turbine, you can't do half of the stuff the map has to offer. The bus is very inconsistent. Sometimes it leaves immediately compared to others where it stays in one place for a while. Overall, Transit as a whole is not a good map, in my opinion, but the side subsections are pretty good. Some of them are better than others, obviously, but yeah. So Bus Depot is our most bare bones survival transit subsection. It only has a mystery box and one door. Besides that, it just has wall weapons. There's nothing besides that, so it's really just Nocturne Toten, but with a it's actually just Nocturne Toten, but less stores. So Bus Depot is probably my least favorite survival map. Um, I would probably put it below Transit. Farm, on the other hand, I'm gonna put in meh, but above Transit. This at least has multiple doors, it has perks. Overall, Farm is a really, believe it or not, I find it to be a pretty aesthetically pleasing map. It goes what it's for. It's a fogged up farm. It's a fun map in my opinion. This is my obviously my second favorite survival map. Um, it's really good. It is really good. Especially if you get a couple of friends to play with you. But farm, besides that, it has nothing really special to offer because again, it is just a survival map. Town is gonna go above Verrucht. Town is my favorite survival map. Actually, I would prefer to play Town over 5 too. Town is my favorite survival map. It has the Pack-a-Punch machine, it has perks, it has doors, it has everything you need to have a fun experience on the game. It has enough areas for you to train or camp. I remember my strategy on this map was I would make a kind of a full map train, except it wasn't full map. It was I would start in like the bar. I would go upstairs, drop down, and then run up to the MP5 and kind of do like a figure eight motion around that. Or I would camp over in the cage area where double tap is with RPD and a hammer. I've had a lot of fun experiences on Town, and before I got the season pass, this was my most played map, and I didn't get the season pass until like a couple days before Buried released on PlayStation 3, because that was the platform I played on. Nuketown, I'm gonna put above Nocturne Toten. Just like Town, it is a survival map. The only thing that makes it significantly worse than Town is that the perks are randomized not only in location but also when they spawn. You could get Jug on round 2 or 22 and you would have no way of knowing until it actually arrives. Um, for a challenge map, this is really good. It takes place on obviously Nuketown, one of the most iconic multiplayer maps of all time. But besides that, it doesn't offer much that you can't get from Town already. It's smaller. It has less. It has you could train in the backyard pretty well, or you could do like kind of a main map train in the middle of the map. Um, but personally, I just don't see any point of playing Nuketown when you could just play in Town. Diner. Okay, so since this is going off of official maps, I I would have to count Diner as turned because you can't play regular survival on Diner in regular Black Ops 2. Yes, there are mods that you can play survival on Diner, which make it so much better, probably tied with Town in my opinion, But Diner is not a survival map in official BO2, so this would be Turned. And personally, I don't think Turned is as good on Diner as it is on Burrow, which is the buried version. Probably I would prefer to play survival maps over it. But Diner's a pretty okay map if it were able to be survival. But since it's not, I'm gonna have to rank it as though it's not a survival map. It's just turned, so that's why it's going at bottom of meh so far. Die Rise. I would prefer to play Die Rise over Transit, over Farm, but not over Not. I would prefer to play Die Rise over Transit simply through the fact that the Wonder Weapon is much more fun to use. I would, and that really makes a difference. Transit and Die Rise are both pretty bad maps. It's just that the Wonder Weapon on Transit makes it unplayable, while I still have a reason to go back to play Die Rise if I wanted to have some fun with the Slicklifier. It is a really good Wonder Weapon, and at one point it was the best Wonder Weapon of all time before it got significantly nerfed. But we're not ranking Wonder Weapons, so that's why it's going very low on my list. Um, it You die from fall damage a lot. It teases PhD, meaning Treyarch was aware with the issues of it actually being vertical. I feel like if PhD was actually on the map, I feel like it would go up to it would go up more, but I can't put it up more. Mob of the Dead. This map is amazing, and I recently played the remastered version on BO3 modules, and um, it looked great, but Mob of the Dead is a phenomenal map. It, but I, Mob of the Dead is very repetitive. Every game feels the same, um, especially because if you're gonna do the Easter egg is literally just doing the same thing over and over again until you finally get to the end. So not only do every game feel the same, all of the steps feel the same. So it's more so they really did focus on that idea of it's just a cycle. Even in gameplay, which I don't think it was intended for it to be like that, but it does feel like that. I feel like Mob of the Dead, I've always said this, and I will continue to say it, Mob of the Dead would be a better movie than an actual map. And that's just my personal opinion. Mob of the Dead would be a better movie than a map. Buried. I'm gonna put Buried in great, but not above Call of the Dead. Wait. Yeah, I'm gonna put Buried there. So Buried is my most played BO2 map. It is very fun. It has some of the most iconic wall weapons of all time. Um, so Buried has the endgame of the Victor storyline, which are absolutely amazing. The Easter egg's fun. It's challenging. It's satisfying when you finally do it. No matter what side you do, it is fun. Buried is a nice arcade map. Um, it it's very fun. It's okay. Um, thinking back, maybe Buried is gonna go there. Yeah, no, yeah, that seems like a better spot for Buried. Yeah, that seems like a better spot for me. But yeah, Origins, phenomenal map. I prefer it over Mob of the Dead. Origins aesthetic is just overall better in Mob of the Dead than Mob of the Dead. Um, Wait, no, no. Mob of the Dead's aesthetic is better, but Origin as a map overall is better. Uh, it's challenging. It has four. It was the first time we had four elemental wonder weapons, one for each player. It was probably. It's still one of the best Easter eggs of all time. It's one of the best maps of all time. It is absolutely phenomenal, and not much more has to be said than that. Yes, there can be improvements, but there can be improvements to anything. I don't think any of these maps are perfect. Outbreak. This is the original Outbreak from Advanced Warfare, and this was a probably this is my most played Exo Zombies map. It's not my favorite, it's just my most played. This is gonna go in it's average over Nuketown. Um, so Outbreak was pretty fun. It was a good introduction. It was a good introduction to exo zombies. Um, the Easter egg was pretty straightforward. Yeah, some of the steps were kind of hard. Not hard to like do, but how did people figure it out? Kind of hard. Infection is uh, infection is a meh map right there. Infection took everything from Outbreak, so all of the ideas from Outbreak expanded upon it, whether that's better or worse. The Easter egg, I feel like overall in Outbreak, I mean, I prefer Outbreak's Easter egg than Infection because this is just, it makes no sense in my opinion. Um, and one of the biggest points of Outbreak, I'm not Outbreak, I'm sorry, I keep saying Outbreak. One of the biggest flaws of Infection is the fact that it cuts off half of the map every couple of rounds, and in the higher rounds, it cuts off the entire map. Like, you'd have to go down into the sewers, which, no, absolutely not. Carrier is definitely my favorite exo-zombie map of the bunch. The Easter egg, I feel like, was done well. I feel like they took the idea of an objective round from Infection, but they made it 10 times better with the bomb round. Because now, yes, it does kind of force you to do it, but it gives you the opportunity to fix, or it gives you the opportunity to prevent something that was just inevitable in Infection. Uh, it was this was the turning point of the extra zombie storyline, and this is where I actually got invested with it. Well, no, I got invested with it from the infection outro. I remember questioning who were they gonna kill off, and I was so worried. I kind of thought they were gonna kill off Khan, who was the executive, because he seemed like one of the most boring characters out of the bunch. Um, So I kind of was expecting, but Oz was my favorite character. I'm still a little bit upset they killed him off. Descent is right below Outbreak. I feel like Descent's um, the aesthetic is much better. It looks great. It sounds great, and it just gives off some unmatched vibes. Nothing does feel like Descent, but at the no, the sense might be a little bit better than Outbreak. The Easter egg was a lot better. I feel like the Scent Easter egg was really fun, but I don't feel like it's a great map. Noah J. I don't feel like it's a good map. Uh, or I don't feel like it's a great map. It is a pretty good map. It's average. But yeah, Shadows of Evil. I prefer this to Mob of the Dead. This is Mob of the Dead 2 in my opinion. It takes the aesthetics of Mob of the Dead. It feels like Mob of the Dead. I mean, there's already a lot of Mob of the Dead references in it, like referencing to like Sal DeLuca, Billy Handsome. You can even see Icarus, which is the plane you build in Mob of the Dead, flying over the map when you do initially open Pack-a-Punch. So Shadows of Evil is a phenomenal map. The Easter egg's great. The storyline's great. The soundtrack is great. It is amazing. I love the jazz touch to it. It just feels like Treyarch was trying to do something different, because out of all of Black Ops 3, I feel like this map feels the most different compared to the rest of them. I feel like the rest of the maps feel at least somewhat similar and connected, while Shadows of Evil was kind of intended to feel like the Outcast. But that is not a bad thing. I feel like it was a good map. The Giant, I'm gonna put it right above Juries. They are very similar maps. They are the exact same map actually. They're both taking place on the Juries map. But I feel like this is better than the Giant because I prefer Black Ops 3's engine rather than World at War's engine. Everything feels more refined. It looks much better. Black Ops 3's weapons are overall so much better than World at Wars. Uh, there's not much more to say. It's the most beginner friendly map of Black Ops 3. Der Eisendrache, I feel like Der Eisendrache is one of my favorite maps of all time. It definitely is. I feel like they definitely took inspiration from the elemental wonder weapons from Origins, but they just made them, I feel, they just remade them. Um, I feel like the Easter egg is better. Um, it's much more beginner friendly, if that makes sense. Except I feel like a lot of the fact that I like Horizon more than Origins is the fact that they have the Black Ops 3 mechanics in it. It has the sliding, it has the weapons, it has the boss fights, it has a lot of the stuff that makes Black Ops 3 feel like Black Ops 3. Next is Zetsubo no Shima. Zetsubo holds its own special place for me. Because Zetsubo was very impressive. It was a map made for Black Ops 3, and yes, it was very glitchy at the time of it releasing, but that's because Treyarch, when they were going through an engine change, so they had to change their engine midway through development for this map. Yes, it did suffer, but after a while, they did make it work. I don't think you can find any other map or any of the bigger glitches that it used to have, which is really impressive. That not only did they have to deal with an engine change and continue making the other maps, I find it impressive that they had the time to make Zombies Chronicles as well as fix Zetsubo. So Zetsubo made a really big comeback. Pre-patched Zetsubo would probably go in average right above Verrucht, but post-patch it's a good map. If you haven't played Zetsubo since pre-patch, definitely go try it out. It's so much better. The KT4 is pretty fun wonder weapon to use. It's challenging, and it has a lot of stuff that the zombies has never had again. Like, for example, the doppelganger jump scare. That is my favorite jump scare of all time. Garad Krovi is a great map. Great map. And at one point, I did consider Garad Krovi to be one of my favorite maps, or probably my favorite Black Ops 3 map. At one point, because I enjoy the aesthetic a lot more, I like the soundtrack, I love the Easter egg. The Easter egg is so fun, and the outro and the intro cutscenes are just amazing. But thinking back, Garad Krovi was not as good as Eisendrache, but it's still an amazing map. The Wonder Weapon is really good. Um, I feel like the weapon choices, like the map-specific weapons, are amazing. The PPSH, the FAR, it's just, mwah, beautiful map. Revelations is right under Garad. It is a good map. It is what it's meant to be. The Easter egg is questionable. The outro, I feel like, has aged like a fine wine. The intro, phenomenal. The wonder weapons that they brought back, like the Apothecon Servant, the Thunder Gun, amazing. The map is definitely my favorite looking map of all time. It's great. Okay, now we get into these maps, to say the least. Zombies in Spaceland. As some of you know, Zombies in Spaceland is my bread and butter for zombies. I've played this map so much since it launched. I know this map inside out. I know how to do everything. I know most of the bear spawns, like the physical teddy bears, and there are over 100 of them. I know most of them. I can't tell you them by heart, but put me in a game and I'll just go off. Um, I recently did upload a video. I think it was yesterday or today or whenever it's going up. I'm not too sure. But we did, me and my friend Matt, we did 100% Spaceland, meaning we did do the Easter egg, we did the sticker pack, we did everything. We did absolutely everything. We did Ghost and Skulls, we found all the, or almost all the bears, we found all but one of them. But Zombies on Spaceland is a map that even if I don't play for 7 years, I will still remember how to do everything. It's gonna hold its own spot. This is actually the map that I was playing that I actually met Matt. So that is another reason. And for that alone, the Infinite Warfare's gameplay is really satisfying. The Easter egg is fun. The it's a beautiful map. We've never had a map that looks this good. And for that, it is. I'm putting it top of great. Yes, it does have its flaws. It was suffered by the engine of Infinite Warfare. Infinite Warfare does have a good engine, but it does have its flaws. For example, zombie collision. If you're running around in Polar Peak and one of those zombies drop down from that little area by the machine, like the coin slot machine, you're gonna get screwed because of the zombie collision. The wonder weapons are amazing. Raven the Redwoods. It's it's a pretty good map. I feel like I prefer it to Moon. The wonder weapons are also pretty fun and unique. I just prefer Spaceland's wonder weapons. It's not as colorful or as vibrant as Spaceland. It's more mellow. It has Ray Vision, which is beautiful. It is the Dark Ether before Dark Ether from Team Machina. It was amazing. There's not much more to talk about that. It's just Spaceland, but not as good. Shaolin Shuffle. So, I think I'm gonna have to put it. Shaolin Shuffle is a map that I personally do not enjoy. Um, I don't like the aesthetic of it. I don't like the wonder weapons. I don't like the Easter egg. I don't like the storyline. I just there's not much for me to like about this map. And personally, I try not to put any map in bad, and I try to at least find something that I do like about the map. And hell, even with Diner, even with Transit, even with Die Rise, I find stuff that I do like about these maps. But for Shaolin, I just can't. I cannot find anything I like about this map. I don't like the boss fight. I don't like the Easter egg. I don't like the wonder weapon. I don't like the map's aesthetic. I don't like the kung fu abilities. I just don't like this map. Which really pains me to say because I have tried to find something, anything about this map for me to enjoy, and I just personally cannot. Attack of the Radioactive Thing. This map is kind of like Shaolin, but better. I'm gonna put it. I prefer it over this. I prefer it over that. It's gonna be top of meh. So the difference between Shaolin and Attack is that the aesthetic is better. Not only that, the boss fight is better. I I like the aesthetic of it much better, and I like Shaolin's or than I like Shaolin's. Um, but besides that, I can't really find much more to speak about this map. It's just kind of a below the barrel kind of map. Beast from Beyond. I liked this map. I like this map. It's definitely not one of my favorites. Um, but this map was fun. It was challenging. But it was fun. I would prefer this map to Carrier. So it's an average map. It brought back the cryptids, which I did like the extinction storyline. So I'm glad we at least wrapped they at least wrapped it up with Samantha Cross. I feel like I don't like the way they ended it though. I feel I at the end of Ghost, it really felt like Samantha Cross was gonna help end humanity. I don't like how they just made her a good person at the very end and kind of just threw it in. It, but I am glad they finished up the storyline and they wrapped it up and kind of integrated it into the Infinite Warfare storyline by making the Extinction movies by Willard Wyler. One thing I really do like about this list is that they rank the Mephistopheles boss fight separately from Beast from Beyond. This boss fight isn't phenomenal. That it's I prefer it from Shadows. That's no, that's a lie. I prefer them Mob of the Dead. But this boss fight is the best boss fight of all time. The soundtrack's amazing. It's challenging. It's very difficult. And when you do beat it, you do get Willard Wyler as a reward, and you get a really cool calling card. Um, this boss fight is one of the most replayable boss fights of all time. It's also one of the most difficult. But when you do figure out a way to master it, then it's a breeze. If you memorize the sound keys, you memorize the spawns, you memorize anywhere he could possibly be, you can memorize all of it. It is, but no matter what, this will always be my favorite boss fight of all time. And that's saying something, because there are some really good boss fights, like Gerard Crovey, like Eisendrache, like 9 had a really good boss fight. Um, what else? What else? Yeah, 9 had a very good boss fight. Ancient Evil had a really good boss fight. But yeah, I'm glad they put Mephistopheles as a different map from Beast. Final Reich is an average map. I would prefer it over 5. Um, it was a good introduction to World War II. When it came out, it was a pretty scary map. That's what they were going for, so I'm glad the execution was well. Uh, it was okay. The Easter egg was not the best, but also not the worst. Um, yeah, there's not much to talk about. It was a good introduction to World War II. Groston House. I'm gonna have to rank this side by side with Town. It's a bare bones survival map. It did have perks, or it didn't even have perks. It just had a Wonder Fizz, which would give you random perks, which is a little bit worse than perk machines, obviously, because you don't know what you're gonna get, and if you get or if you get 3 good perks and then 1 really bad perk that you don't want, you'd have to cycle through your perks again. And not only that, I don't like how you have to wait for the Wonder Fizz to recharge. That is a bad feature. The Darkest Shore. I'm putting it there. Probably it's one of my least favorite World War II maps. It's foggy. It's I like this map better than what I originally did, especially how me and Matt are going through every Easter egg for every side mode and survival and everything like that. When we did the Darkest Shore, I did find a new sweet spot for that map, but that's not saying much. The Shadow Throne is my favorite World War II map. It has a fun Easter egg. It has fun wonder weapons. It has a fun boss fight. Um, the ending cutscene didn't really do anything to further the story. Um, but Shadow Throne was my favorite. Okay, so these are the Darkest Shore, and they do them separately. So they're all very similar when it comes to actual ranking, but I guess it's gonna be where I personally rank them. That's gonna be okay. So they're all gonna go here, but the way I am ranking them is specifically which order I would prefer them. I would prefer Into the Storm first. That's my favorite of the 3. Beneath the Ice is second, and then Across the Depths is my least favorite. There's not much to say about them. They're 10 waves, objective. It's okay. The Easter egg's not the best. I don't like the Easter egg. Frozen Dawn. I'm putting it. A, putting it here. It's an okay map. There's not much to say about it, in my opinion. It was a nice ending to the World War II storyline. I wish they continued it, and I felt like the ending was rushed. The map is... it looks great. It looks great. The wonder weapons are okay. I like the trials. I don't know why, but I just don't like Easter eggs where the Easter egg is literally just getting the 4 wonder weapons. I don't like those. I just feel like they are the bare minimum of what they could possibly be. Voyage of Despair. Just just like the Darkest Shore, this map now is better than what I initially thought it was, especially after replaying it a couple years later. I would prefer it to all of these. I would prefer it to all of these maps. Um, it has pretty fun Easter egg. I don't feel like the map works as a zombie map, although I really like the idea of it being on the Titanic. Um, I feel like it's a good introduction to the Chaos crew and the Chaos storyline, but it's still an average map. Um, I can't really think of much more to say about it. 9, 9, 9, 9. Um, it's a good map. Hell no, it's a great map. This Easter egg is fun. The boss fight's fun. It looks great. I never get tired of playing this map. So overall, I feel like 9 is one of my favorite Black Ops 4 maps. And I just don't think that 9... I feel like 9 would be an amazing map if somebody decided to remake it on Black Ops 3's modules. I feel like that's a lot of the things with the Black Ops 4 maps. I feel like if somebody decided to remake them on the modules for Steam, I feel like they'd be a lot better. But 9 is one of my favorite BO4 maps of all time. Blood of the Dead. Oh, Blood of the Dead. I'm gonna have to say Blood of the Dead is it's an average map. The Easter egg is horrible. Um, Probably one of my least favorite Easter eggs of all time. It just feels like a chore. It's the storyline though. It's great. It looks great. It's obviously gonna take place in the same place as Mob of the Dead. But overall, it's just a meh map. Like, it's an average map, but what can you say? What can you say? It's a disappointing map. Classified. I'm gonna put it right next to 5, but I like it better. No, I'm putting it right there. I like it better than 5. They made the map. They expanded the map, so I think they expanded the map by half. So they took half of 5 and added it to the original 5. Um, they changed the storyline a little bit, or not changed it, just changed the timing where it makes sense in the storyline. Um, they made the Winter's Howl a lot better, but besides that, it's the same map. So I just feel like I prefer 5 over Classified, or I prefer Classified over 5. Dead of the Night, I'm gonna say I like it where it's. I'm gonna put it just above Blood of the Dead. These were back when the Easter eggs were better. I personally don't like the easier Easter eggs that were introduced with Black Ops 4. I mean, not Black Ops 4, Black Ops Cold War. I don't like how the map kind of guides everybody through things. I miss how it used to be where you had the sense of, yes, I finally did it, when you did an Easter egg rather than, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's it's a prequel to the storyline of the Chaos Crew, but I don't feel like it would. I don't feel like the timing was good. I don't feel like Dead of the Night would have been a good timing. Especially when it's like we got a new crew right after we got a new crew. I feel like if we got Ancient Evil and then 9, or if Dead of the Night was switched with 9, So if 9 and Ancient Evil were the DLC maps, I feel like not only would the DLC season be considered so much better, but also I feel like it would be better timing. Uh, because then we'd know where's the prequel, what happens just next. Um, yeah, and then plus 9 and Ancient Evil are two of the best maps of BO4. Speaking of Ancient Evil, I feel like it goes right next to 9, but depending on my state of mind, it changes where it is. Right now, I feel like it's better, but sometimes I feel like it's a little bit worse. They're both great maps, but I feel like, at least right now, I prefer to play Ancient Evil because the aesthetic is so much better, in my opinion. The wonder weapons are really cool and unique. They are four elements that we've never seen before in zombies, and to this day, the boss fight arena is one of the best. Um, I love Pegasus in the map. I love this map just overall. Alpha Omega is, I would prefer it to Voyage. It is a mid-tier map. There's not much to say about it. It takes place before Transit, and it's the last map that the Primus and the Ultimus crew were in before the ending of their storyline. Um, but besides that, there's not much to talk about it. Nocturne Toten is one of the better maps. I feel like it's a good map. I would prefer it to Rave. I feel like it's a better map. I feel like this was the one of the better remakes, because especially during BO4, people got mad that all of the Ether maps were remakes, but I feel like this was one of them done right. It took Call of the Dead, it changed a lot of it, but at the same time kept it the same to feel like Call of the Dead. But not only did they just expand upon it, kind of like they did with Blood of the Dead, every part of the map feels viable, feels important. Even the, like, up top in the base, where you go there the least, in my opinion, I feel like it is done well. Like, it is up there, it has enough importance to satisfy you. I feel like this is one of the better BO4 maps. I, the Wonder Waff Sharpshooter, or whatever it was called, it wasn't the best wonder weapon. The Thunder Gun, again, wasn't the best wonder weapon because it did splash damage. Like, why would you use the Thunder Gun when the Thunder Gun is in the same map? The Pack-a-Punch camo is nice. It's like an Origins Pack-a-Punch camo, but a little bit dimmed down. The Easter egg was pretty fun. And this, yeah, th- that's about it. The only bad map, in my opinion, was Shaolin Shuffle. I'm trying to think if there's any last minute changes I'm gonna do, but I can't think of any. So no, that this seems fair to me. Um, so hang on. This is my final. Damn. Yeah, well, this is my final ranking, and yeah, that's it. Yeah, this seems fair to me. This seems fair to me. If anybody has any disagreements, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you would change, what you agree with, what you disagree with. But this is my personal ranking, and this isn't including Cold War zombies or Vanguard. Vanguard, I could quickly tell you, D Machina would be an average. Firebase C would also be an average. Mauerger Toten would be in good. Forsaken would be a little bit under Mauerger Toten. Wait, no, yeah, it'd be like literally like one spot under Mauerger Toten. That would be where Forsaken is. Outbreak as a whole would be an average. It just wasn't for me. And then Duran Fong is just bad. Duran Fong is bad. That's where I would put my Cold War and my Vanguard rankings. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and bye.